The door was already half open when the weight of everything I hadn't said finally caught up to me, the kind of moment that makes your chest tighten because you know once you step through, something will be lost forever. My hand was still on the cold metal handle, my back already turned, when I felt the warmth of her fingers wrap around mine, trembling slightly, as if she was afraid I might disappear the second she let go. In that instant, a question rushed through my mind that felt uncomfortably personal, the kind that sneaks up on you late at night. If this were you, standing on the edge of walking away, would you choose pride or would you choose love, knowing either choice could hurt just as deeply? Michael Carter had never planned to be in that position. He was 36, born and raised in Ohio, the kind of man who believed in hard work, steady plans, and quiet endurance. For most of his life, he had done what was expected of him. He married young, chased promotions he didn't love, and learned how to swallow disappointment with a polite smile. When he met Sarah Whitman at a charity fundraiser in downtown Chicago, he thought he had finally found something simple and good. She had a calm presence, a gentle laugh, and eyes that seemed to see past the surface. They built a life together slowly, moving into a modest apartment, sharing Sunday breakfasts, and dreaming about a future that felt safe enough to believe in. But safety can sometimes feel like a cage when unspoken pain starts piling up. Michael's job in corporate finance consumed him, long hours and endless pressure carving away at his patience. Sarah, once vibrant and hopeful, began to feel invisible, her own career in nonprofit work overshadowed by his constant exhaustion. They stopped talking about the small things first, then the bigger ones. Silence moved into their home quietly, settling into corners, sitting between them on the couch, lying awake with them at night. Each unresolved argument became another brick in the wall growing between them. The breaking point didn't arrive with shouting or slammed doors. It came on an ordinary evening after Michael forgot, once again, about an important event for Sarah. He saw the disappointment in her face, the way she tried to hide it, and something inside him snapped. He told himself he was tired of failing her, tired of feeling like the villain in his own marriage. Leaving felt easier than staying and confronting the mess they had both created. He packed a small bag, convincing himself that space would fix what words could not. As he stood there, ready to walk out, memories flooded his mind without warning. He saw Sarah laughing in the rain during a weekend trip to Vermont, her hair plastered to her face as she pulled him into a kiss. He remembered the night they stayed up until dawn talking about everything and nothing, believing love alone could solve any problem. Those memories hurt more than the present ever could, because they reminded him of what had been lost and what might never return. When Sarah reached for him, the gesture wasn't dramatic or desperate. It was quiet, raw, and human. Her eyes were red from crying, her strength clearly worn thin, but there was something else there too, a fragile hope that hadn't fully died yet. In that moment, Michael felt the weight of his own fear. Fear of failing again. Fear of staying and discovering that love wasn't enough. Fear of leaving and realizing too late that he had walked away from the one person who still believed in him. He turned back slowly, not because everything suddenly made sense, but because he realized that running had never truly protected him from pain. Staying didn't promise happiness, but it offered a chance, however small, to face the truth together. They didn't fix anything that night. There were no magical apologies or sudden breakthroughs. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, the silence still there, but it felt different now, less like an enemy and more like a wound that needed time to heal. The weeks that followed were some of the hardest of Michael's life. Therapy sessions forced him to confront parts of himself he had spent years ignoring. He had to admit how often he chose work over connection, how he used exhaustion as an excuse to avoid emotional responsibility. Sarah, too, had her own struggles to face, the resentment she had buried, the fear of asking for what she needed. Healing was slow and uncomfortable, filled with setbacks that made Michael question his decision more than once. There were nights he lay awake wondering if leaving would have been kinder, if staying was just prolonging the inevitable. But then there were mornings when Sarah would make coffee and sit with him in silence, their shoulders barely touching, and that small closeness felt like progress. He learned that love wasn't just about grand gestures or perfect understanding. Sometimes it was about choosing to remain present, even when every instinct told you to escape. Over time, the air between them began to soften. Conversations grew longer. Laughter returned in brief, unexpected moments. They started taking walks together after dinner, talking about their days, relearning how to listen without defending. The scars didn't disappear, but they became part of their story rather than the end of it. Michael understood then that staying wasn't a single decision made at a doorway, it was a commitment renewed every day, often without certainty or reward. One evening, months later, Michael stood in that same hallway, looking at the door that once symbolized his escape. It looked smaller now, less powerful. He realized how close he had come to losing a future that, while imperfect, was real and deeply meaningful. The thought sent a quiet shiver through him, a reminder of how fragile second chances can be. If you have ever stood where Michael stood, torn between leaving and staying, you know there are no easy answers. Love can hurt, staying can be terrifying, and leaving can leave scars that never fully fade. But sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is pause, turn around, and give yourself permission to try again, even when the outcome is uncertain. Before the story ends, take a moment and share in the comments what you would have done if you were in Michael's place, because your story might help someone else feel less alone. And if this story truly touched your heart, reminded you of a choice you once faced or are facing now, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, so more people can find hope in the quiet power of second chances.